All right. What's up today? Just joined by the guys at Alexander Golf. I really, whole point of this conversation, we're just going to jam a bit and hopefully it'll be valuable for anybody that's watching this conversation. Talk a bit about their partnership together, business that Mike has built, how he grew his social media following, and hopefully there'll be some insights and things that you guys can take away if you're watching this video to help you to grow either your in-person or more specifically what we'll focus on is online golf coaching business. So guys, welcome. If anybody doesn't know who you guys are, a bit of an intro of both of you, what you do, and yeah, just tell us more.
Cool, yeah. Nice to be here, Dan. Thanks for organizing this. This will be fun. Um, so yeah, I'm Mike Alexander, PGA professional trained, currently a online golf coach. So mainly one-to-one coaching with clients all around the world. Most of them are in a program now to kind of try and break 80. So we're looking at a 6-month program. So we're working with these guys towards that goal to try and get more golfers to break 80. I read a crazy stat recently that I think this I read it was from a book called Breaking 80, and a lot of people, I think it was maybe in the 90s potentially, I'm not sure exactly, but the essentially it was like 2 to 4% of people break 80 amateur golfers, and then if you look that stat up now, it's still the same. So despite the improvements in equipment, the improvements in available information online with YouTube and Instagram and all of these platforms, and better coaching as well, the golfer on average hasn't really improved. There's If you read Ben Hogan's book, he believes that anyone who can create a repeatable swing can hit the ball about 230 yards. That anyone that can do that can break 80 with the right structure. So trying to grow that percentage, I guess, is my goal at the minute. Trying to get that up to, I don't know, if we can improve that by 1%, and that's a good achievement. So getting more people breaking 80, because for me that's golf. That's where it starts to get fun. So that's what I'm doing right now. Vegard.
Yeah, my name is
It's
Vegard.
was
Sorry.
on that too. That's kind of crazy to think about because I
Yeah.
probably broke 80 for the first time when I was a teenager. So it's like I guess I take that for granted that like if
Yeah.
I don't break 80, it's a really bad day. Which is kind of interesting that 90+% of golfers never do that in their
Yeah.
career of golf. But yeah,
Yeah. And a lot of people can hit the ball those distances, so they should be able to, if they can build a repeatable swing and have the right structure, then they should be able to do it, which is fun. So that's what we're working on. But you tried to introduce yourself there, so
Yeah,
you want to try again?
yeah, let's do it one more try. So I'm Vegard Bergstedt, and we partnered up with Mike here in March last year. Also, first time I played golf. Decided I do marketing, a marketing company. So we partnered up, and then I started going through the system, literally step by step, and gone through the whole system. And we filmed it, we put it all online, and tried figuring out a few different things with how to sell it on the back end, and then that's tried that until November in 2024, and that's when we met Dan here. So he's been helping us out, building out the back end of the business, figuring out the emails, landing pages, that type of stuff, giving us the correct tech stack. So really helped us in the right direction when it comes to structuring and getting sales in the door.
and still just getting started. But yeah, so I'd love to go in a few different directions. First is Mike, obviously you have a big social media following, something that like probably a lot of coaches would look at and say, "Oh, I wish I had that." If I had that, I'd be making all this money or whatever. And that's what a lot of coaches go online to thinking that they want to build is a following. I always try to shift the perspective on that to understand that like it's not just the number of followers, but it's the number of followers who are interested in buying something from you, which is actually more important. And reversing that order of thinking, it's not grow a large following so that eventually you can monetize. It's understand like this is business media. We want to grow a following so that while we're doing that, we make money, and only really grow it to the extent at which it positively impacts the business. And at the end of the day, that's just because like when people invest in the different programs and coaching that you offer, they get better results.
Mm.
which you guys obviously see too. But yeah, let's dive in. How long have you been creating content? How has that gone? Ups and downs. Tell a bit of the story of like amassing this following online. And for context, I think it's at 58K on Instagram, 7.7K on YouTube, and over 150K on TikTok, which is
Mm.
now not that important in the United States, but for the time being.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think you're what you mentioned there about, that was my thinking. If I got a load of followers, I'd make a load of money, and then all of a sudden, even just I'll tell the story on how I got the followers. But even when I, was last summer sitting there with, like 200,000 followers, I'm thinking, even if I could, when I used to think about it, I used to think, oh, even if I could make a dollar off each one, you know, the bigger I get that number, the better. And I had 200,000 in the summer, and I didn't have 200,000 in my bank. So something was wrong. I had all these followers, but I wasn't converting them into dollars, or into sales, and into actually, getting clients to coach. That didn't happen. So yeah, with the guidance of like Vegard and yourself, it's been great to actually see how that works. And yeah, it's not all about having that huge following. It's essentially about having a following of people that want to want to connect and want to get better and want to invest in their game.
And
I
just
think you're
on that too, the TikTok audience is like basically triple the Instagram. But as far
Mhm.
as like throughput of purchasing, the probably the most valuable audience, at least from I've seen for you right now, is the Instagram one, which is about a third of the size. And so that just like it's like right apparent right in front of us. The quality of the audience matters more than just purely the size, right? And
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, so that was my thinking. So back, the content creation started in 2017. Um, I essentially went back to my junior golf club, um, which is Hollywood Golf Club, and they were building a gym there. It's the home of Rory, so they were building a gym there, and he was helping out with that, and um, just developing the club a little bit. It was becoming well known with obviously Rory's success, and in the gym, I knew a guy who was a personal trainer, and so we started creating content, and he worked there and he became a TPI fitness instructor. So we thought we would start creating content and in the gym and on the course. At that point, with no real objective to it. Just thought this is fun. Let's just give this a go. And we were creating like kind of like 1 minute, 2 minute sketches, and it was called Mike's Quick Fix, and the apostrophe was after the S because we were both called Mike. And I don't know, we thought that people might see that and think, oh, that's a mistake in the spelling. And we thought, oh, that'll also attract to people to see what's going on here. So I guess there was a little bit of thinking and marketing going on there subconsciously. But yeah, we started creating content like little 1 minute videos that were quick fixes, but it would be kind of funny. He would kind of be like almost pretending to be a golfer that has no idea what they're doing, and having a little bit of fun with it. And I'd come in and fix it in a minute. And then we did that for a while, and then I kind of stopped maybe 2 years into that. I think I developed 2,000 followers on Instagram at that point. Kind of just got out of the way of it, stopped, started building my own coaching business at a local driving range. And then we came into the first winter of that, and it got quite, quiet with coaching and stuff like that. So I thought I'd get online, and then started posting just like kind of no real intention to the videos, just trying all these different types of videos, no actual coaching like I do now. And then I don't know, I think I stopped it again for maybe a couple of years, and then picked it back up in uh after COVID in this would have been May 2023. So I would have had about 5,000 followers on Instagram, um, and then TikTok maybe 2,000, YouTube like maybe 300, something like that. And then so I started posting videos of me playing a hole. So it was kind of play a hole with me, par four. We'd play the hole and then post that as well. And then that started to grow. I got like 100,000 views, and this was on TikTok. So I guess that was the kind of content that resonated there. And then I posted every hole at my course and kind of ran out of ideas. But at that point, I had amassed maybe 10, 15,000 followers on Instagram or on TikTok. And then I was going live and doing like swing reviews live, and people were then sending me their videos on Instagram. So then that channel started to grow. But even before that, actually, then I ran out of holes to play and started just posted one video of me showing the how to set up the golf ball. And that got, I don't know, 250,000 views there. And so I thought, okay, this is the content that works. I've spent 7 years nearly trying to find out what's going to work, and it's this clearly because the first video I posted on it, went viral, sort of on TikTok, and then from there, just
7 year overnight success.
yeah, it was crazy. And then I mean, it was getting like 20,000 followers a month on TikTok, and then Instagram finally hit 10,000, and then the TikTok, it just kept going. I got a video at like, I don't know, 4.1 million views, and it was a terrible video because it was in the range. I was in the range that was really bright outside, so the lighting's terrible. You can hardly see me at all. It's very dark. But whatever way I did that video with the hook or whatever, I didn't know what I did, but it went viral, and then after that we're getting lots in the millions and stuff like that. I think the last year on TikTok it's 60 million views or something like that. And then just kept now just doing these coaching videos, and then started working with Vegard here to build the online academy, and just kept posting, and then we met you, and then now we're finally got a good coaching business off the ground. So yeah.
It's I think it's just good for other coaches to hear, like, one, trials and tribulations of posting content. So yeah, I think it's partially uh my fault and other marketers' fault in a way. When you go to marketing, and it's the same for golf, like, it's right, break 80, like, you want to paint this beautiful picture of what it's going to look like when you get there. But it's not always sexy to talk about the steps that it's actually going to take, how much practice and work is going to go into actually consistently breaking 80 and being that caliber of golfer. And it's sort of the same for online, right? It's like, hey, if you've never made a post online before, your picture is a picture of a cat on Instagram, and you don't even have a clear bio about what you do, it's unlikely that you're going to go make $10,000 in the next 90 days. Like, let's kind of temper the expectations here a little bit, and realize that all these creators, one, that you look up to because they have lots of following, one is that they've probably spent years and years and years consistently posting and testing stuff to amass this following. And two, I have conversations every single day with people with these followings. Like, I was just at the PGA show last week at the time of recording this, and an influencer that I connected with through a mutual friend has 110,000 followers on Instagram and hasn't made a single dollar from it yet. Has not made any money. And so I think, like, everybody has this false idea of what this success is supposed to look like. Right now, there was other coaches that were successful with 200K, 250, 100, whatever, you name it, doing lots of online lessons. But even then, like, you look at someone with that size of audience, you expect that they're making millions of dollars. And the reality is, like, most don't effectively know how to monetize, how to get people to buy what it is that we ultimately are selling, which is not necessarily coaching. It's the transformation of playing better golf through the vehicle of coaching, which I think is an important distinction for a lot of people. But yeah, Vegard, when you came to help Mike, like, what's some of the stuff that you guys initially worked on and that you saw, like, obviously a lot of potential here, but not utilizing that potential or, maximizing it?
I'll actually go and build off what you were talking about earlier because it ties in perfectly. So we're mainly, like, my company is mainly operating with supplements, and it's all about, like, it's a completely different message, completely different market, and it's all about having the right expertise within coaching. So we saw, obviously the system itself is incredible. So, like, I've never picked up a golf club before, and I'm quite fast able to, like, been able to pick it up. and gotten somewhat good, but only have played for like 9 months or whatever it is. So the system in itself is quality.
You're not gonna tell the story.
Oh, when I beat you on the back nine, is it that one you refer?
Because he tells everyone that he beat me on the back nine.
I was this close to start talking about it, but I was like, oh, should I do it on air?
Well, I teed it
Nine
up.
9 months to beat a golf pro, right? That's the
No,
new
no, no,
promise of the
Yeah,
system.
that's a
no,
proper
no, no,
working
no,
message.
no.
I did hear that.
That's not what happens. That's not what happens. I'm telling you. It's 18 holes, right? We played 18 holes. He was 20 over the front nine. He shot 5 over the back, 2 under the front nine, and I shot 6 over the back. It was a
Yeah, I shot
rough
five
back
on the
nine,
back.
and he's beat me apparently.
Well, you said
That's
that.
great.
You said on the fairway on the
Trying to
last
make you
hole.
feel better because you had such a bad back
You
nine.
said, yeah, but you said that. Oh, you try to apply some pressure to me. So you're like, oh, if you beat me now, like we're even now. We're both five over. And then he
Yeah, but
shoots
you were
first, and it
20.
looks like this perfect shot right over the flag. And then I go shoot, and he starts applying some pressure on me right before
Yeah,
I
I'm in
shoot as
there.
well. He's fucking
Yeah.
grilling me there. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna fire it up there. Didn't let it bother me. Perfect. He's 20 feet, no, 12 feet away from it downhill, and I'm like 10 feet away from
It's
it
two
uphill.
tier.
Yeah.
There was no way I was stopped.
Yeah. So he ends up after the first putt, like he like the ball doesn't stop, so he's 20 feet away, and he three putts it, and then I just easy two putt it.
Yeah.
Living
Tap
off
it up
that
there.
victory.
Oh
Uh,
man.
It's not a victory.
no, so let's get back to the marketing here, because like obviously we tried different strategies over the summer and into the fall, and then always just like, why not just get someone that actually knows how to do this to help us do it? Because it's a different message. It's just the easiest way of doing it is just to get someone else's knowledge, and that's when we met you, Dan. So since then we were working with Dan here, and we have built out the whole back end of it and much more structured. Also built out the front end, helping us with copy, helping us with emails on the back end. So really structuring that ad funnel and cash funnel so we can get leads, sell different tickets, like low ticket, mid ticket, and also high ticket.
Yeah, I think that one of the coolest things that's happened over the last couple of months is the high ticket side of things. So I'd love for you to talk a little bit about that because I think it's gonna hopefully break a lot of beliefs for golf coaches, which are very much stuck in like this is what golf coaching is worth. This is how I can charge for it. This is the way that it's always been done. And it's always been done as we sell lessons. And maybe at most we sell lesson packs where you get 10 for XYZ. And the vast majority of coaches, especially over near you guys and where you're from originally, Mike, in the UK, Ireland, Scotland, like all over that area, like undercharging for their services per dollar per hour or, you know, euro, pound per hour, whatever you want to call it, to sell their time in person and not understanding that like there's a different way to do this. And I think what you guys have just done in the last couple of weeks of selling a high ticket coaching program could open a lot of eyes for the possibility.
Yeah, first of all, I would say that I would not have been able to do do all of this, especially getting to the point of selling high ticket without, the help of guys like yourselves, because it's, I focused on the golf swing and golf itself, but my in terms of business knowledge and business background, it was just not there. So I don't think I know a lot of golf coaches might be in a similar place. So getting that help and finding out that structure is definitely something that everyone should do. And I'm obviously with the high ticket stuff in the last few weeks, being able to for myself just being able to get on a Zoom call with the potential clients and be able to pitch, packages that are, thousands of dollars and have them, pay right there on the call is something that I never actually ever thought that I could do. I didn't think I had because I've always been charging very low for actually being in person. So for me, it was hard to break that belief that this person's not even going to be with me. And obviously I've got to be able to, they've obviously got to have a lot of trust to know that I can teach them without having to show them positions. But to me, that was like, that's not worth that, if what I was charging for in person, but really it is because it's far easier to get the results for clients when it's online because you can practice plans you're not standing on the range all day where, you come home from the range, you just want to chill most of the time. Putting that extra work in is difficult. But being able to, and be able to sit here and make practice plans and send videos back and forth and get on Zoom calls as well with them is like, you know, so much more effective with your time to actually, and you actually get better results with the client because their practice is structured. And what happens with the online lessons, in my opinion, or the in-person lessons, in my opinion, what happened, most players are coming, and I hear it in the DMs from golfers that take lessons, is that they come for that lesson, or they've got the hour with the coach, and then they come back the next week or the 2 weeks, and they just go off and practice it. And some coaches probably will have good structure for the players, proper practice plans and stuff, and drills to follow. But that structure is what gets the result. It's not going for a lesson, practicing by yourself, potentially practicing the wrong moves, and then coming back for a lesson when it's terrible, when it gets really bad. That's not the time to get a lesson. You should be continuing to develop, continuing to improve, and yeah,
And that's also what we're selling. Like we're structuring an offer and selling a result down the
yeah,
line.
yeah.
And that's why we're able to actually charge quite a lot of money for that service as well, because people buy the result. They don't buy the one coaching session. They want to see, okay, if they get 10 coaching lessons, at what level can you guarantee that I'm at? And that's what people are willing to charge or pay a lot of money for.
Yeah,
Not necessarily just like, oh, I'm going there for a lesson and that's the one lesson they have in like 3 months. That's not going to bring any good. That's not going to bring any results. You need to have weekly check-ins. It's the same with you, Dan. It's weekly check-ins. Like you're business coaches. Like it's like weekly check-ins. Have you done that? And it's the same in golf. It's just like, have you followed the training plan?
yeah.
What are the results of that? Okay, you might have to do some adjustments here and here to make it better. But it's essentially the same system, and that's how we're able to charge high ticket for it.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
just having that confidence now I was kind of reluctant to book calls, and um I was kind of nervous coming into the calls, but now it's like I can do this and get booking more and more calls, and I look forward to it and I enjoy it, and now the calls just get better and better every time, so yeah, it's just all moving forward, but it's
yeah, I
possible.
think too many, like I love a lot of those points. I want to touch on probably a few of them because these are like the biggest things that I hope a golf coach instructor can walk away from this with. Is just like maybe a little bit of a belief shift to see that there is potentially a different way to look at this. One is like there are still instructors and coaches that I talk to that believe that the only way to get a great result for a client is in person. And I think there's something to be said to having an in-person experience. And like that is different. It's hard to replicate that experience online, but that doesn't necessarily translate to results for the golfer, which at the end of the day, if you can produce a result for them, which like you guys promise, right, breaking 80 consistently, that is ultimately what they care about more. And we're talking about transformational coaching relationships, not transactional coaching relationships. That's the way golf coaching has been sold for the last 40, 50 years. You buy an
Mhm.
hour of my time, I band-aid fix this thing, maybe get you a little bit better in that session, and then I send you off to do your thing, and hopefully you come back at some point. But usually the problem is they come back when they're broken again, not
Mhm.
after having made solid progress on the things that you gave them. And they come back in with this attitude of like, "Hey, I'm back. I need you to fix me. I have this important match coming up, and I can't freaking hit it straight, right? I'm slicing at 50 yards or whatever it is." And that's a terrible relationship to be in as a coach as well. People, you mentioned the stat in the beginning, right? Which is that at large, people's handicaps and their ability to shoot these different scores has not really improved as a whole across the industry over the last 20, 30 years. And a lot of that is because golfers don't have consistent transformational coaching relationships with someone that they can go back to and get the same feedback and same guidance. Instead, they are doing like the YouTube golf instructor stuff, which is not me saying don't put out YouTube content, but like they're bouncing from 20 different instructors, taking tips from all of them. When they're over here, maybe they go get a little lesson and then they're watching this guy over here on YouTube and trying to do his stuff. And they're just constantly tinkering and buying new clubs and new training aids and new this and that. And really what they just need is like one person to give them a very very custom approach for them to actually improve over a long period of time. And when you can do that and structure it in that way, then you can sell this experience for higher ticket prices. Which like you guys can share whatever numbers you want, but I would love to like just break some beliefs and some minds on like what were you able to make high ticket in basically like a 2 week stretch of just saying like, hey, I'm going to jump onto sales calls, I'm going to have a conversation with somebody, and I'm going to package and position what I do as a high value service.
Uh, well, 2 weeks, 12,800.
Yeah, and that's also euros. So in US dollar, that's probably like 14 or something like that.
It's not that big of a
No,
difference. I mean, do that
it was
yeah,
12,800 pounds.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so
Oh, okay,
probably 14 US.
that's like 1450. 14.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
15,000.
Yeah.
I've no idea.
In 2 weeks. Yeah. And now like there was work that went into that. So it's not like,
Yeah.
hey, magically $15,000 comes out of nowhere. Mike was in his DMs all freaking day, jumping on sales calls, having lots of conversations with people. And there was years of effort, energy put into this culminating event. But it's just that that's what's possible when you think about this a little bit differently. And what's funny for me is like, this is a realization in so many other industries that are similar to golf coaching. But for whatever reason, golf is just stuck in the past. And maybe that's like nature of the way that it's always worked. Like we're very much in our history and rules, and like this is the way that golf is done. I say, I hope if anybody's watching or listening to this, it just gives you a different perspective and an idea that you don't have to sell what you do for $50 a lesson. You don't have to sell what you do for 50, 100, $150 a month of this unlimited coaching package where they get all access to you, undervaluing what you do, undercharging, probably underserving your clients. There is a there's a different way. And in my opinion, a much better way.
Agreed.
The the other side of that too is like you'll have the client, and what I think most people don't understand, if you're $100 a month client, right? So I'm this average golfer that's willing to pay $100 a month to have a coach through name the platform. It doesn't matter the platform, whatever it is. The reality is I'm probably not as compliant as I would need to be to get the results that I'm ultimately looking after. Right. So like the problem with that is like you have people that will come in to dip their toe in and try it, test it out, right? They'll be like, all right, this guy's $100 versus the other guy's 250. I'm going to try this guy for 100. And they'll dive in, get feedback from you for a month, and ultimately churn. Like, I think the idea that just being cheap on a reoccurring will keep people for a very long time, I haven't seen that necessarily be true. There's outliers, but I think the majority of people who dip their toe into a relationship like that are very easy to quit when potentially life gets busy or they don't get the result that they want in a singular month, which we already talked about is like, it's not how this works.
Yeah, wait, you don't want clients like that.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem of the way that everyone is charging online in a lot of ways is like you're you're attracting that client by the way that you are pricing and positioning yourself online to where if they really desire the attention from you as their coach, we should be charging um, a high ticket price, right?
Yeah.
And as much as we can, getting commitment over durations of time that are 3, 6 months plus, because that's where real, again, transformational coaching actually happens. If somebody's coming to you for a month, it's not that much different than getting a lesson, and
Yeah,
because there's not a lot of change that's going to happen in 30 days.
exactly. Yeah. I think as well, it's like, if you're charging 100 a month, like you say, the people you're going to get in the door there are going to be um people that just, like you say, just want to give it a go and maybe aren't really, for that, they're not going to get the coaching attention. It's not feasible for a coach because he'd need to have a lot of people to maintain that. So it's going to be hard to coach that, and you're not going to give that full attention. But if you've got 10 people that are on a higher ticket, first of all, the people there that are higher ticket are high value clients. So they're if they're investing that, they're into it. They're gonna make this their priority. So they're the people that you want to work with, people that are gonna put the work in as well. So I think, like you say, charging low and just thinking about getting as many as you can, and maybe not such high value clients that maybe don't just give it a go, and it's $100. It doesn't really matter that much to them. Then they're not the right people.
Yeah, and there's a
But also,
place for
for people that object about the price and it,
Yeah,
and just have a lot of price objections. Like
yeah,
if they're not willing to invest in their golf game
yeah.
and invest in getting better,
You
they're
don't want
not
to
going
work
to
with
get
them.
better. So they're not the right fit.
You don't want to
So
work
it
with
goes
that.
both ways.
Yeah,
Because yeah, we got to think about like we don't want to fill up a lot of slots with people that don't take it seriously. It's like it goes both ways.
yeah,
You want to
yeah,
have
and
people
they
and getting good at golf. You need to be committed to it. You
yeah.
can't half-ass it.
And the same person will spend 1,500 on a set of irons that are going to help them hit the ball 20 yards further and hit a pitching wedge, 150 yards, and wonder why the short game suffers or their wedges aren't good. That's what people are being bought into as well. So, if
Yeah,
they
and
can pay
and that's
that.
just having been at the PGA show, which is obviously a spectacle of all this equipment, apparel, technology, the new thing that is being sold. And I was having a conversation with another coach there that was mentioning the same thing. He's like, yeah, over the last 20 years, handicaps have not
Yeah.
significantly improved. Like they've dropped by like 2 strokes on average. And a lot of that could probably just be the tech, like new tech that everybody has access to, like could attribute to a lot of that and just not playing, clubs from 20 years ago. But he's like, but at large, like all of this stuff, which costs thousands and thousands of dollars, maybe some tens of thousands of dollars, has not contributed to actually playing better golf for the average golfer. And so, yeah, like you said, like everybody's investing in launch monitors for home, home simulators, expensive golf clubs, which now a new driver that people are buying every single year is $700. And that's if like you just get stock plain Jane, don't add anything to it, $1,500 iron sets, uh, new shoes, the training, whatever, like, and it's not making a marketable effect or change in the way that they play golf. But then for some reason, we're stuck in this idea that that same golfer won't invest into a coaching relationship that would actually help them to improve. Like, I think that's like, it's a very strange logic or reasoning to me.
Yeah, it is. It's just it's obviously the great marketing of companies, and equipment and stuff like that just, I guess, hooks people in. Um, you know, you don't, I don't see a whole lot of marketing when you watch golf on the Golf Channel around coaching. I don't see any of it. It's all equipment and clothing and stuff like that.
Uh,
So
it's easier to sell immediate gratification than
yeah,
actually you got to put in some effort there.
yeah, they
You
don't
gotta you
sell it.
gotta
This
want
takes
it.
time.
You gotta want it to get it. It's not enough with just paying. You gotta actually be willing to spend the time required to learn it as well.
But then again, the golfer goes through that. A lot of the golfers that I work with now are, they've been through that whole thing of being buying clubs and launch monitors, like you say, and best of equipment and changing the clubs all the time and getting fittings with this guy, fittings with that guy. You know, they've been through it all and they didn't get anywhere. And every golfer is probably going to come to that realization. And then these guys are just so open to trying this especially when they see how, if you can structure it correctly and do your due diligence and find out as much as you can about that person and what they've been through, you can really convince them that, or not even, you don't even need to convince them. They just know that this is going to work for them. You don't have to convince. It's just, for them, they're like, look at this program and okay, I can break it. I just got to go through this system and I only have to do it, 2 to 3 times a week for 45 minutes. They're at a point now where it's like, let's give it a go. That's what I'm finding.
Yeah. And it's not magic because it's like golf is multiple different things you got to be good at. And it's like you might be better at driving than chipping, but okay, then you got to focus on the chipping part of that, or you might struggle a little bit with the swing. And then just have a person that knows what area of your game you need to focus on, obviously based on data and based on stats, then guiding you to become better in those areas. Having
Yeah.
that tailored plan is really, that makes the difference if you want to learn it.
And when you lay that out to them, like everybody wants it. Everybody, you lay it out properly, they look at it and go, that I need that. You still get some objections on price and whatever, but then that's people that they wouldn't have been on the call because they were would have been they'd have been filled out a form to say, are you willing to invest in your game? This isn't a cheap quick fix option, and they all come through that. They get on the call, so they're all in a position to invest, and some people have to ask the tooth fairy and their dog if it's okay. They just don't want to commit to it. They maybe don't trust you, and that's fine. But
Or the wife.
or the wife, yeah, that's the
Can't make a decision on their own.
That's the
Come, oh shit, I gotta ask my wife permission.
But
Yeah,
they're not.
usually
No, you gotta ask your wife permission if you're allowed to use the driver too.
Yeah, you have
no, you
to,
can't
you have to
drive
ask if you
60.
could go for that par five at two. You have to. But
usually
For my wife first.
usually the driver or the new set of irons just shows up at the house and then they ask for forgiveness instead of permission on that
yeah,
one.
yeah. So it was okay there, but yeah, I mean, it's probably because they've already spent all this money on their game and they got nowhere with it, and the wife's, I don't know. Anyway, but you just deal with
They
it. You can't deal
the
with it.
the thing that I see that's like pretty rampant in golf coaching industry, especially with coaches trying to shift to online, which I just like to cover really quickly before we hop off, is this idea that like they're so scared of sales, which like you mentioned this a little bit earlier, like you were at first too, right? Like hopping on this Zoom call to have a sales conversation. Oh my gosh, like this is nerve-wracking, this is scary, this is whatever. So every coach now, not every coach, vast majority, what they do is they put out content, they throw a link in their bio, and then they're just like, all right, well, I hope all these people see my content, flood to me, sign up through my link in my bio, pay me hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, and this is going to be great. We're going to make tons of money, and I don't have to like, do all that much work or go through the scary part of having a conversation about sales for people. So I'd love for you to speak on that a little bit, like kind of overcoming that, getting on the call, what it was actually like. And then for me, like the reframe of jumping on these calls is like, don't be scared of sales. Sales is serving. Sales is how you help someone to transform. You need to show them the opportunity, offer them the opportunity. They don't have to say yes. Like we're not forcing anybody into anything. Like you're only working with the right people who are going to be a good fit for this. Like we're not taking their last $1,000 to invest in you as a coach and like leaving them on the street poor because they decided to improve their golf game. So yeah, talk to that a little bit because I think that's a big hurdle for a lot of coaches is like jumping on a sales call, which is really just it's a coaching call to qualify and see if you can actually help somebody.
Yeah, yeah. No, I certainly framed it as a sales call when I first got on them. The first one it wasn't good. I was so nervous and so uptight and not myself at all. And just kind of fumbled my words when I was doing the kind of presentation. The guy still kind of he still liked it, but he obviously didn't believe in me, and I didn't know how to handle the objection. And so I think honestly, with the first one being that bad was a good thing for me because then I was like, you know what? I've built this up in my mind that this is going to be such a difficult thing. I wanted to see if I could do it in DMs and not have to get on a call. And yeah, that first failure was great because then the next one I didn't care, and I just went in and had a conversation with the guy about his game, and find out what his goals were, find out just focus then on what I need to know to see if I can help this guy rather than kind of half listening to him, thinking about the sales pitch. I was just thinking about the presentation, the pitch, and that distracted me from getting the information I needed. And when I have the information I need now, when I, get the goal, how long they've played, what they want to score, what have they tried in the past with coaching, all of these things to be able to understand that person that's sitting in front of you, that to then just go in and show them your program that, yeah, okay, you're going to be a perfect fit for this Break 80 program, for example. I have this program with your practice times, with your availability, with where you're at, you can, if we do this, this, and this, you'll break 80 in 6 months. And it's a complete it's a complete shift, because then I go through the presentation and just show them, this is what we do, break it down. And then right after that, you know, it's the decision time. But for me, it's not a sales call anymore. Like you said, it's just, I'm just getting on to have a chat and see if I can help this person that's in front of me.
Sales for a lot of people, when a lot of people think about sales and salespeople, it leaves a bad taste in their mouth because they're used to phone salespeople that just phone them down and try to get them to buy something they don't need and don't want. And to get good at sales, you got to just realize it's not about you, it's about the prospect. It's about the person you're talking to. You got to figure out what this person is dealing with. And it's not about you as a coach. You have your system. That is the last part of the sale. But the first part of it, you just got to go into it and figure out if this person would be a good fit for your program. Get to know their game, get to know what they're struggling with, get to know them as people, get to know their situation. And you need that information in being able to advise them either that what you're selling is a good fit for them or it's not, because not everyone you're on the call with will be a good fit. So it's just doing both of you a service. And then obviously the last part is the closing of the sale. Like you got to collect the money, and a lot of people fuck up with that. They get nervous right at the end.
But you would all this way without swearing. Right at the end.
Oh,
Right at the
I
end.
don't care.
It's one of this. It's one of this. So yeah, you just gotta close
It's
the sale.
far
Yeah,
it's
I just
far
gotta
enough
go
in.
far
It's
over.
far enough in so where,
Yeah.
it's not like I care about being monetized anyway, so.
Well, anyone at this point, that's they're invested in improving.
Yeah. And you just gotta figure out if this person is or not. You don't want that person to waste your time on the call either.
Yeah.
It's like your time is valuable. So
Yeah, and then like at first when you're just getting into it, so this is the first one of the first shifts that I try to have any coach that's working with me understand is like the way that you've thought about selling this thing is not the optimal way of selling a coaching relationship, right? Like when you guys found me, we got on multiple calls because it was like, all right, this guy on the internet. Like we're looking for this, but we're not really so sure. Like we gotta vet this guy and make sure that it's a good fit. And then that, like, without that, there's probably no way that you would have bought from me, right? Without sitting on an hour-long call, having a good discussion, having some follow-ups, doing it again, making sure that it was a good fit, and then saying, "Cool, like I think this can actually help." It's the same. Like, and one of the most powerful things you can do on a sales call is actually tell somebody no, that is not a good fit and being comfortable, like the outcome of the call doesn't matter. We have to detach from that, right? Like what matters most is like figuring out what is the best solution for the person in front of us. And if that is the program, then yeah, then it becomes your job to get them over the hurdle of saying yes to jumping in. But the more you convict it, more convicted you can be in the fact that your problem solves your program solves the problem that they currently have and is the best solution for them, the better you'll be at sales.
Mhm. Absolutely.
yeah.
100%. Couldn't
Cool,
agree more.
guys. Well, I that's all the time we have. So hopefully, if anybody's watching this and you found value in it, really that's all it's about. That's all I really care about. Anything you guys would leave anybody watching with before we hop off?
Yeah, I just don't, the biggest hurdle is just starting. So, there's probably guys who have thought of starting this before, and when they thought of that, they should have done it. That would have been the best time to do it, but the second best time is right now.
It's like planting a tree.
Speed and intention.
Yeah.
You gotta go for it. You gotta want it.
Just get into it. Just start and get going.
Don't wait to make the
If
decision.
you need,
go for it.
don't need all the motivation in the world. Just get started.
Yeah, motivation's fleeting. So if you're relying on motivation, it's not too dissimilar from like a golfer that, has something happen, gets motivated, sees you, is all excited in the moment, but then they never do any of the shit that's actually going to help them to get better and improve. So if you're relying on motivation, you're screwed. Like you're never going to be successful. The people that are the most successful don't rely on that at all. They rely on action, momentum, routines. Like they do something, they get in motion, they keep doing it, and they don't stop. And that's what really drives the business forward. So, all right, guys. Well, thanks for hopping on with me. Oh, go ahead.
One more thing. Also, don't expect to be right every single time in everything you do. Like you will make mistakes. It's part of it.
Yeah, the faster you can fail and the more mistakes you can make, usually the more success you're gonna have.
Definitely.
And the ones that can make more mistakes and just like keep getting back up, and saying, screw it, like I'm just gonna keep doing this. Right? Like Mike, you probably could have quit so many times in pursuing social media content because for basically 5 years plus it didn't work for you. You know, but you decided not to. Maybe the one, maybe the all of us that are ultimately successful are the ones that are just stupid enough to not give up and just keep going even when it's super hard. So
That's it. 100%.
Yeah,
Well, thanks, Dan. Cheers. That was fun.
yeah. Thank you.
yeah, you guys, thanks for coming on and sharing a bunch of value.
Cool.